under the glass of a frozen sea. A secret stirs where no eyes can see, like whispers trapped in a crystal tomb. Europa hums its ancient tune. I think of our stuck buried deep, a lake that dreams but cannot sleep. What waits below? What breeze? What hides in the heart of ice, where time collides? Signals flash like ghostly flares, answers tangled in cold threads. Beneath the ice of Europa, life sings soft like a distant nova. Are they monsters or are they kin? Do they fear us or let us in? Beneath the ice of Europa, life sings soft like a distant nova. Are they monsters or are they kin? Do they fear us or let us in? Wheels pierce down, machines hum low, to touch the past, to learn to know. A glimmer, a movement, a fleeting trace, a trembling hand, a foreign I think of explorers long ago who chipped at secrets locked in snow. They found life where none should be, a mirror of us beneath the sea.
Under the velvet, the stars take their stand. Orion above, with the night in his hand. Under Orion's gaze, the stillness hums, a quiet song where the silence drums. The belt of stars, they shimmer and gleam, hold in a frozen dream. Trees stand like shadows, frozen and tall. Echoes of silence, no sound at all. The stars burn like fire, but their touch is so cold. Orion watches, his story retold. 3 stars in a row, a map in the sky, guiding the lost as the hours pass by. The hunter stands still, yet he's moving through time, a silent reminder of something divine. Under Orion's gaze, the stillness hums, a quiet song where the silence drums. The belt-up stars, they shimmer and gleam, holding the night in a frozen dream. The snow keeps its secret, the stars hold their light. Orion stands watch in the heart of the night. The brilliance above, a tale etched in space. We find our place.
Well, hi there, kitties. Hey guys, how are you? It is Mark D'Antonio here with Skytour Livestream. We are waiting for some clouds to pass by. As you can see, there they are. They are heading overhead right now. We're trying to get. This sounds like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Yeah, sure, guys, come on in. Hello, welcome everybody. We're just going to wait for the clouds here, but I have something to show you and to do with you that's going to be really helpful. If you guys are interested in the moon, then what I'm going to show you is something that is probably tantamount to one of the best lunar, I won't call it a calendar, but it's one of the best lunar references you can get, because it's tied to the exact day and time, and then you can change it. All right, what am I talking about? Well, what I'm talking about is this thing here. Okay, this is a website that you can go to. It is a website where you can get a hold of the image of the moon right now. It's called Moon Phase and Libration 2021. Now, don't be put off by the date, because if we scroll down on this, okay, let me bring you here. If you scroll down here, you can see that here is the date and time. See the time? 5/23/2026. Now, it's 2022 here, okay, but this is at 3 a.m. So, in other words, it's like after midnight, because this is given as Universal Time, UTC. See that? Now we're in Eastern time here. The West Coast is, of course, Pacific time. And so what we're doing is we're showing you basically the time effectively, several hours from now. Well, actually, it's now, sorry, the way it looks right now from basically from the UK, Greenwich, England. All right. Now you see, this is the first quarter moon you're looking at right here. But there's a secret here, because you see this word download? Oh boy, you got to see what this does for you. This is cool, because now, you ever wonder what all these craters are? What if I told you that by downloading this, you get a fully labeled, entirely and properly, properly stated image of the moon. It shows you everything about the moon, and it's really cool. So I'd like you to see that. So I'm going to actually bring you that right now. Okay, here I am. Hi. Okay, so what we do is we hit download, and we hit download. Okay, what you end up getting is, let me close this out. What you end up getting is this. This is what comes in. This is what comes in on your screen. Now let's take a look at this. So you got diagrams to show you some specifics of the moon. It gives you the time over here. Okay. It tells you the time and so forth. It tells you the phase, just below half, which is meaning it's just below, it's not quite first quarter. First quarter means 1/4 of the way around its orbit around the Earth. Last quarter is the last quarter. Right. Full moon is actually second quarter. Okay. Okay. But that's not what we call it. So anyway, if you look at this too, if you notice that the moon also has labels here, if we zoom in here on the screen, let's zoom in right here. Let's go right up top there. Look at that. We actually see names of the craters that are on the Terminator, like Aristoteles, okay, Eudoxus, things like that, okay. And we have Mare Serenitatis here. We have the Apollo 17 landing site there. Apollo 15 landing site here. Okay, by the way, remember that that program I showed you, the Quick Map, Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter Quick Map? Yeah. That would show you the landing site for Apollo 15. You'll see the valley that they're in here. This is, it's not very good resolution here, but you can see Hadley Rill, where they actually walk to the edge of. Look down into into Hadley Rill's, cavernous depths. Okay, and you can go to all of the Apollo sites with Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter Quick Map. But look at this. So now, let me change the size of this just a little bit so I can move it over for me. All right, so these are all the craters that are currently on the Terminator, and we'll go looking for some of these tonight if we can actually get our sky to clear overhead. Right now, it's not clear. The sun only sets around 7:30 or so out there, so technically we have an hour before we actually get some darkness, and it's supposed to clear up, but we're gonna see now, won't we? All right. So this then is available to you. It's free. All right, you go all the way down. So all the Terminator craters, all the big ones, are outlined and named here, and the ones that are dimmed are the ones that were outlined just a little earlier, and then you don't see the ones later on until we get this. Is called the Terminator, the line between light and dark. Okay, now let's go back to this other view for just a minute, because I want to show you something else. I want to watch this now, because if you watch, okay, you notice how we have time down here? We can change the date and we can change the time. So let's say, what's it going to look like in 5 hours? That'll be 8 a.m. Okay, watch the screen now. Ready? Watch this. Look at that. You see how the shadow advanced? So between 3 and 8 a.m. over 5 hours time, the shadow moves that much. All right. Now if we download that, these other craters that haven't been seen before will be illuminated. All right. So that's pretty cool. And so this is very neat, and you can also set the date. All right. So how do you get here? Well, up here it's kind of hard to see it, but I'm going to copy this and I'll paste it into the chat so you can see where you have to go to get exactly to where we are. And I think that's kind of a cool thing to be able to show you. All right, so over here in the chat, here I am, and now I'm going to paste this in. Okay, so go here. There it is. I pasted it in the chat. It's the svs.gsfc, Goddard Space Flight Center, .nasa.gov, and you can see this very tool, right? It's called Dial a Moon, and you can pick the moon from any time you want. All right, so for instance, here's the Dial a Moon for the May 26th lunar eclipse. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like. And this is going to be, let's see, May 26th. This was in 2021. There was an eclipse, right? So this shows you what it was. Now, it wasn't this one, but one a little bit, it was in January. Actually, earlier in January that we caught the meteor hitting the moon, and it hit right here. We saw it hit the moon right there. It was a bright flash. Poof. And it's on go to our YouTube channel, all right, and you can see it. You can watch it happen. All right, and it gives you when it happens in the description, so you can just go right to it. All right, so that's pretty cool. So this gives us a chance then to look at the moon at any time and get to learn the moon's craters. Now, there's certain features that occur only for a brief few, like 30 minutes, 45 minutes on the moon. They're optical illusions. One's called a lunar X. And it's a confluence of craters where the light crosses in just such a way that it illuminates the rims of some adjacent craters to make what looks like an X. And that's the lunar X. All right. So enjoy this. This is a fun tool. And like I said, hopefully we can get a chance to look at some of this tonight. I'm looking up at the sky right now with our other system, our security camera. Well, let's see. I'll take you there now. Let's go look. Okay, so here it is. You can see a telescope pointing up in the sky right there. right here. All right, and then we have this looking overhead. Now those are better than it was. They're going away little by little. All right, but as we move up, let me just take us out of here, because there's the moon. All right, the moon is pretty high up in the sky. Okay, and you can see it's sort of on that side of the sky. There's the observatory dome, as you can see right there from the other observatory up on the hill right next to us. Right next to it here is a 30 by 30 foot roll-off roof observatory. An entire 30 by 30 roof rolls off, exposing a whole bunch of telescopes that are on tripods, and all they do is look at one spot in the sky. And the reason is because they're looking at geostationary satellites. That's all they do. And there's a company monitoring the satellites, and that's what they do, you know. Now, while we're here, I don't know if we'll be able to do it yet, because I haven't got the telescope fully aligned yet. Let me actually, first of all, let's focus this sky. All right, we'll do that. I'm going to do a sort of a manual focus right now, because I won't have enough stars to do a proper focus. So that's pretty good. All right, and now let's see if we can go, like, say, maybe this way. And it should get brighter and brighter as the moon approaches. And we're probably there, so let's do this. Not quite. Well, we're near it, that's for sure. Oh, I see what happened. We're almost there. Okay. It's going the wrong way. I want the other right. Alright, so this should be... Let me do that. It's probably down here. I'm just following the glow to get to it right now. Let me drop this. There it is. Okay. Now what we'll do... See, this is the unlit side of the moon, which is what I want to show you here. So... Now, it's unlit, but how come we see it? Well, we see it because there is a glow off the Earth that the moon sees. And we're seeing what's called Earth shine. The reason we're seeing it has nothing to do with the sun. Kind of indirectly. It's the sunlight reflected off the Earth, reflecting off the moon. Kind of cool. Alright, so now let's see what happens when we bring the moon in. See how much brighter the moon is. Yeah, and of course it's a majorly bright object. And there's the Terminator we've been talking about, but let's look at this a little bit differently. Let's go down to 100 milliseconds. All right, and then let's get rid of this guy, and then we can work up from there. There we go. Look at that. Beautiful. Not quite. We can go a little lower than that by a tiniest of bits here. Let's drop it down. Let's get rid of there we go. Get rid of the saturation up here. All right. So now we're looking at the moon and the beautiful craters on the moon. And I've talked about this before, and you guys know from what I've said, but I'll tell you again. This is and you know this is a myth that all the craters are the same depth. When we looked at the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter Quick Map, I showed you the tools, the measurement tools, so you can do cross sections. And if you drag lines across craters, you can see that they're all different depths. And there's regions of the moon that are higher than others. Like this region here is way up here compared to the down here, which is in the Maria, this location here. Notice this is circular. There's a reason for that. That's because this was a giant impact at one point. So there might have been a big crater right here in an early moon, but then it filled with lava that oozed out from underneath. And so that's what we're seeing now is the frozen remnants. And we're only seeing a snapshot in time, aren't we? It's just a snapshot. So let's do this. Let's say first quarter moon. I'm going to make that the name, all right, of this object. And now I'm going to do what's called a planetary stack. We're going to stack this and get this nice sharp image, right? Notice this is counting up 12, 14, 15, 16. We're stacking images on top of each other to get a sharpened view of the moon. And the brightness and so forth is going to be pretty close, so that won't change. And that's neat. I want to say hi to everybody that's here. And it's nice of you to come out. Now, I did not put out a notice for tonight, but that was kind of intentional. I wanted to see who's actually getting notices that we're going to be streaming. And so that's beautiful. Look at that. Wow. It almost looks 3D, doesn't it? Well, we're going to save that as two different things here in our moon directory. And where are they? Well, they're at skytourlive.org. Scroll down to I Want Cool Pictures. Go to today's date, and you'll see the instructions on actually how to actually get this. Get all this stuff. It's all good, all for you, and all free. Because I don't know what to do about that. Anyway, so this is a beautiful image of the moon, and we'll drag it around, see what else we got. Oh, that's beautiful down there. We'll go down there and do a shot of that too. All right, this has all been saved, and the whole picture is actually this, and that's what's been saved out there. So we'll come back. This is the live view now, and let's go back and let's drop ourselves down. The other down. Okay, and bring us over a little bit. Yeah. So when we come over here, we're looking at the southern end of the moon, and it's just incredible to see all the areas down here. Now, it's very interesting to see this because this area here is lower than these highlands. These are highlands, okay, much higher than here. Here you can see a round impact that occurred, a round impact that occurred, a round impact that occurred, another one here. So there's a lot that's been happening, a lot that's happened here on the moon over time, and that's why there's so much amazing stuff on the moon to look at. And the moon is not just gray. I know it looks gray here, but they actually, if we do a deep set of photos and we take time to control the color, we'll find that the moon has a color to it that is different than just gray. It's not just gray. It really isn't, okay? So, what I'll do now is I'm going to come over here to this guy, and I am going to center that up. It's already centered. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to synchronize us on the moon here. So now those are our coordinates. Tell us that's where the moon is. And I see Venus out there. I was thinking maybe we should go check out Venus and then come back to the moon. What do you say? Want to try that? I think that'd be pretty cool. You know? So, I think it's time to do that. That's beautiful, though. That's really pretty. That's the live view. I want to actually do a planetary stack of that. Let's do that. I said I would. Oh, look at that. Wow. And the more images we take, the less noise you'll see. But we're doing this is kind of like a professional process to kind of bring out details in the moon that you might not see. And these sliders represent that. Okay. All right, we've stacked 50. That's pretty good, actually. Now we've stacked up to 65. We're going to go to 100. I don't have to, though. I could go to 50 from now on. I don't have to go to 100. Oh, yeah. That's really pretty. And it's been saved. Good. Then we're back to our live view. Doesn't look much different. That's great. That means that the night is actually pretty cool out there. So remember about you want to use that link I put in there if you want to look at the phase of the moon and the craters on the terminator of the moon. All right, really, really cool stuff. All right, let's now go here. Now let's back out a little bit and let's go to that's Jupiter down there. Where's Venus? Venus is way down here. Venus is 20 degrees above the horizon. All right, and we're going to look at Venus. We're going to try and find Venus here. Actually, let's go to Jupiter first. I have method in my madness. And mad I am. All right, there it goes. You can see it's going to start pointing right there. Okay. Look at that. There's Jupiter right there. Look at that. I want to catch it while it's still somewhat higher in the sky. Okay, so this is our nice live view. Remember last time we caught Jupiter, we caught it with Io casting a shadow on the cloud tops of Jupiter. And that's really neat. So we're going to see what it's at right now. Okay. Now, that's how small it is, I realize. But let's zoom in on it a little bit. All right. And now, let's do our nice scientific planetary stacking here. Ooh, look at that. That's looking pretty cool. Oh, look at that. That's neat. Let's adjust the brightness and color. Okay, I'm going to take the brightness down a tad. Yeah. Okay, this fringing is not what we want to see, so we want to try and get rid of that. So first things first, we're going to come back and do that again. And we're going to, yeah, there we go. And then we're going to take our saturation up a little less than we did before. And that gives us our natural colors. Look at that. You can see all the cloud bands in Jupiter. And we got 50 that we stacked already. 50 images stacked. That's bad. Not bad. I do not see Io's shadow. And I'm going to guess that Io is not there. We'll look at this and center up on it. I think we're going to get some good shots of Venus, too. We're going to try that. Venus is featureless, by the way. Okay. Yeah, see, there's Io. It's out there. Okay. And Europa is here. Now, you heard the song about Europa. That's a song I wrote about Europa that you listened to earlier. And so, if we back out, you'll see we have... actually, we have Callisto. Ganymede is behind Jupiter at the moment, so we can't really see that. But we do have Io. Then we have Ganymede behind Jupiter, and then we have Europa and Callisto. All right. So that said, let's take a look at resetting this stack. Actually, I'm going to rename this. We're going to call this Jupiter. And then we're going to save it. as two different forms. A TIFF file, which is uncompressed, and the PNG, which is not quite uncompressed, but it's still got some good qualities. All right, so now we're going to come in and do this. Now we're going to do another stack. Look at the noise disappear as we get more stacked. This is just a living, breathing example of how stacking works. We're just taking the image, aligning it with the previous, and stacking 1, 2, 3 on top of each other. We're going all the way to 50. And those 50 images, by stacking them like that, all the random noise is averaged out, so we only have data showing through, and that's what works. See, there it is. Yeah, so we've got a number of cloud bands and zones. Jupiter has bands and it has zones. Okay, these interesting. Okay, these areas here are areas that are I believe down lower in the atmosphere, and the others are higher. So Jupiter's atmosphere is sort of a terraced, undulating mess. It's not all one level, you know. I want to say hi to folks that are here, and I'll just answer. Hey, David Neds, how you doing? Nice to see you. Yeah, no, Orion has set for the season, David. We've been looking at it for the whole winter, and now we're looking at the Moon, Jupiter, and then shortly Venus, and then a few clusters tonight. But the Moon primarily tonight. We're going to go looking at the Moon for a while as well and check it out. I had a newfound interest in the Moon once I saw all the really cool stuff that I had just simply missed on the Moon. There we go. So there is our Jupiter picture. Not that bad. It can be sharpened up a little bit. I can de-ring it maybe a little. Let's see how that works. I'll just try a couple of things. Yeah, that's no good there, of course. Ooh, that's the wrong one. D-ring is the one I was trying. Okay, well, not as successful, but I mean, I'm not even using all these additional wavelet controls. I don't want your heads to blow up tonight. So it's cool. Yeah, this is neat. Okay, so there we go, and so we caught Jupiter. I grabbed a picture of it just now, dropped it in, so you can check it out at skytourlive.org. There's a live view. Amazing what details hiding in that, huh? All right, so now let's go back to the actual size on the frame. Look how small it is in the frame. Okay, and now let's do this. Let's go to our planetarium view. Let's back out. All right, and let's do one thing now before we move forward. First thing I'll do is I'm going to synchronize on Jupiter. So that means that when I go to Venus, it should be in here. And let's pull in the moons so we can see Io. Oh, look at that. That's weird. I can see that we probably should focus that again. Okay, that's helpful to know. Yeah. All right. As the temperature cools off in the observatory, we do lose our previous focus. All right, I am going to do one more of these and do this because I want to actually see what we've got going on in there, because now that we're focused, we can do a little better. Look at that. That's pretty good. I like it. Wow. Okay, that's pretty interesting to me. let's do a level 2 sharpen. That's pretty neat. Okay, we're gonna reset that stack. Do that one more time. Okay, as we stack more and more, the dirty mottled look goes away, and we start to see it in more detail, and that's just what we're seeing now. And that's after 30 images. Very nice. Look at all the bugs flying around. See them? These are all bugs. What's interesting is rain looks like that too. So we can, but there's no rain tonight, obviously. Very cool. Okay, so now we're gonna come out of here. Let's do this again. All right, that's pretty good. And now we're gonna come down and we're gonna fit the height in here. Now we're gonna go to our planetarium and take us down to Venus at this point. Let's hope we can see a good view of Venus. Yeah, there it is. All right, off we go. Venus is a little lower in the sky, but it should. There it is. Okay, so it should be something that we can actually image pretty well tonight. So we'll try that. Now I'm gonna be trying to get the I'm gonna try to get the exposure just correct so that we can see exactly what we're doing here. All right. I'm also at a gain of 100. If I go to 0, we'll have even better detail. And we get rid of this over processing. Look how much smaller. As you can see, it's shaped though. Looks kind of gibbous, right? And let's look at what we're supposed to find here. We'll go into the planetarium, center this up, zoom in, and check out how Venus looks. Look at that. That's what we're seeing, kind of. It's sort of like a waxing gibbous. It's a little bit larger than half. Okay. All right. So let's now come back here and let's work with this. Let's try to take our exposure down to bring us. All right. Now we're cooking. Let's zoom in on that. Look at that. How about that? Now it's near the horizon, so it's not as clear as it could be. I'm going to try and stack it, but I'm not sure how that's going to come out. We'll find out. It's sort of working, right? Let's fix the brightness and color a little bit. Let's turn the brightness down. Yeah, look at that. It kind of worked. We're going to turn off the D-ring here. Look at that, guys. We got a nice waxing gibbous image of Venus tonight. Now the red and the blue color is not correct. Obviously, that's been kind of added to the overall image because of the atmosphere and so forth. So that's problematic. But this is doing pretty good. I like it. All right, so we're going to change that to Venus. It was only a few nights ago when the moon, Jupiter, and Venus were all, they're still in the sky together. They're just a little more separated from each other. And so we're actually seeing this. I keep threatening to say hello, and I still haven't said hello to everybody. I want to say hi to Star Panda. Hey, Star. Hopefully we'll see you soon. Cornucopia, that's Courtney. How you doing, Courtney? Donald Kunzer, David from Bangor. How you doing? Daisy and Zoe Amethyst. I can always count on you guys. You're always there. So good to see you. And then we have who's this STLS guy? Then we have Sally Forth. Hi, Sally. C&D. Hey, Bob. And then that's Thorngood Studios. That's Sharon. And let's see. Donald Kunzer had asked a question, I thought. Oh, he's talking about aliens, yeah. Karen Belmont's with us. Hey, Karen. And Bob, thank you for posting our links. That's very kind. I can always count on you to do that. That's fantastic. And then Michael Hendricks with us. And he asked me a question. Will there be a large impact on the moon anytime soon? Well, if I knew that, I'd be a god. No, if I knew that, that'd be pretty cool. We don't know, Mike. We just don't know. It'd be interesting if there was. And all that we can do to make that happen, or to capture it, is just be constantly watching the moon. And this one's coming out better. Look at that. You know? Yeah, so that's cool. And Rascally's with us. Hey, Rascally Rabbit. What's up? Mundus, what's up, brother? And we have Jerry Klein. What's up? Oh, it's the moon. Right? Yep. And let's see. Good Vibes is with us. How you doing there, Marla? And Dimitri. How you doing, Dimitri? Asks, is the moon hollow? No, I want to address that. That's a very good question, Dimitri. And the reason I'm going to answer that is because it is a common thing that you hear said. And here's the problem. When the statement was made that the moon, quote, rang like a bell, unquote, that was kind of a problem, because it implied that when people thought of a bell, they thought of a hollow body. But that's not what a bell is. A bell is vibration, waves, okay, sound that are moving back and forth in resonance with the metal shape they're in, the cavity that they're in. And it creates what we call a standing wave. But it has to go somewhere. Where does it go? It goes out the bottom of the bell, or out through the little holes in the bell. Okay, especially like when you look at a large bell like the Liberty Bell or whatever. When you hit a big bell like that, the entire shape is resonating the sound within the shape of the bell, and then the sound exits from the bottom of the bell, primarily. And that's something that the moon can't possibly do. So it was a bad thing to say that the moon rang like a bell. What they should have said was, the moon rang like an object that is solid and nearly the same in its composition throughout, because that's exactly why it rang the way it did. And the reason for that is because when you have an object, okay, think of a blacksmith's anvil. You hit it with a hammer, it goes bing, okay? Now, because of the way it's mounted, that sound gets deadened pretty quick. But if you had it hanging by a rope and you hit it, it'd go bang, and it would just keep ringing for a period of time, because it's all the same composition. All the molecules are packed exactly the same density pretty much throughout. And so that ringing process also comes, in other words, from a solid object. And with the moon, there may be voids under the surface here or there, but predominantly when you get through the crust and into the mantle of the moon toward the core, we're looking at a fairly uniform composition throughout. And maybe the core is still molten, but it's a very small core. And that small core isn't enough to impede sound, a lot of the sound anyway. So when you send a sound wave, it radiates in all directions, and maybe it misses a small part of the core, or gets absorbed by a small part of the core, but the rest of the moon, the outer walls of the moon, reflect it back. And so it will ring, kind of like a blacksmith's anvil. If they said blacksmith's anvil, then that would have been a far better analogy, because that's actually scientifically what's going on. So hopefully you get that. And Curtis, what's up? Curtis Horns with me here. Nice tonight to see you. And Annie Langdon. Hey, Annie, so good to see you. I love it. Yeah, and I'm very, very happy to be in the new spot. We have this telescope you see here is telescope 1 in Benson, and our telescope 2 used to be in the Sonoran Desert, but we had to get rid of it and take it out of the desert because the owners of the land were leaving the land. And it's sort of a good thing because there's a lot of development going on, and there's paving of roads and street lights, and so it was going to ruin our views. So here in Benson, where the skylight, the night sky is protected ecosystem, we don't have to worry too much about that. So we can actually look at the night sky, and it's going to be fairly constant. I'm going to bring this around to show you. Okay, there is our telescope, and I'm going to do one quick thing here. The other buildings aren't open tonight, so this isn't hurting anything. I'm going to turn off the night vision. There we go. That's a courtesy if anyone's going to use their scopes. I don't want to have any issues. So there's that's the IR of the camera kicking in, although the illuminator's off. So there's Venus again, and we're going to save that as a TIFF. Save it as a PNG as well. That's really nice. You can actually see the phase pretty nicely. We'll do one more just to see. It's getting low, so it's probably not going to be as good. But we have what's called lucky seeing, perhaps, and we will actually get to see a little bit better what we're looking at. So I'm going to try this. We're going to try to make this a black and white image. All right. And let's bring the brightness down. There we go. Let's saturate it again. I'm trying to see if I can bring out the yellow color. See, way down here, the saturation is still there, but it's low. And you can see it actually kind of looks yellow. This looks more like what Venus looks like. So when we try to oversaturate, the colors get washed out and they get changed. But at the low saturation of 0.5, well, then it's actually pretty accurate. So we can see the yellow color of Venus's clouds here. Really nice. Okay, so I'm going to now save that one more time. So we did a little planetary tour. You know, we did Jupiter and Venus and the moon. And let's now go back and pop out of this. Back to our live view. And we're at 96% on our sensor, meaning that 96% of the size. Temperature in the building is 28 Celsius right now. You can always see that right here. Okay. All right, and let's go into our view here, and let's do this. Let's back out. Oh, this isn't doing the right thing. That was dumb. Okay, let's try this. There we go. Yeah, see, Venus is getting close to setting. And Gemini is setting. Orion has been gone. And right next to Jupiter is the Eskimo Nebula. Let's check that out while we can. We might as well give it a try. You see the telescope's going to come up a little bit. And let's see if we've got it here. That's it right there, I think. Let's go to a 1 second. Actually, I gotta bring my gain up to 150 at the very least. That might just be a star. Alright, and let's do a 1 second view here. We'll see a bunch more stars. There we go. And now let's actually lock on and figure out where the Eskimo is. You'll see it move just in a minute. All right. Let me come back to this. Eskimo Nebula. Okay. Okay. Let me do this. Alright, now let me try. We're going to try a 10-second shot, which will live stack. Let's watch what we get. Interesting. I don't see the Eskimo here. That ain't it. That is not the Eskimo. Let me go back. Maybe it's... Let me go there and do this. Oh, that's not the Eskimo. That's a star. That's 63 Geminorum. I missed the Eskimo by... Okay, let's move to the Eskimo. Alright, so now we'll see the Eskimo. Well, we'll see a blur first. Let me do this. There it is. Okay. Kind of cool composition. Okay. Let's get rid of the stack here. Let's reset this. Okay, here's the Eskimo. This is really cool. This is a planetary nebula that was created when a star, much like the sun, used up all its hydrogen that it was converting into helium. It was on the main sequence, that's what we call that at the time, where stars belong that are burning and creating helium ash from this process. I haven't even started to guide yet, so I haven't done any of that. And so when the star uses up its hydrogen, its core begins to contract because it's no longer able to put out as much power and intense radiation. And as it does that, it heats up tremendously high in temperature and radiates outwards, so much so that the outer layers of the star blowed out and get pushed away from the star. And this is something that is a problem, right? Obviously. And but how does the star react to it? Well, the star reacts to it by becoming a big red giant star. Now, the outer layers are cooler than the inner layers. So the outer layers are redder because the cooler the redder, the hotter the bluer. Okay. All right. So let's clear this and come back here and do this, and let's see if we can grab a star to guide on. I think you know where it's going. Yeah, okay, that'll work. Alright, so we'll let it settle down. We'll clear this again. This blue here is because we have the moon out, and when the moon is out, we end up having this cast to the sky. So we're going to clear this right now and start again, this time under guiding. And we're guiding here. There we are, there's our peak. And we're guiding on that star right there, which is barely visible. There we go. So now let's do this. Let's move this around. First of all, let's adjust the colors here. Try and get rid of that cast. There we go, that's pretty good. And what I'll do now is let's take this to level 2. Alright, I'll take this dark level, this riding up the curve. This white curve is the average of the red, green, and blue curves. And so we use that to measure all of our processing from. This is the mid-range. Watch what happens as I pull it down. You'll see that the quality seems to improve. It's not that the quality improved. It's that the the range of the data has been reduced so that we can actually see the detail inside. See that? Now that's actually pretty bright in there. That's almost too bright. Let me look at this. Yeah, we're raw 16. That's good. All right. So now, if we zoom in on this some more, all right, let's reduce the color. Yeah, see, by reducing the color, softening it up, you can see this is the furry coat of the Eskimo's face. Okay, and that is the Eskimo nebula. In the planetary nebula, that thing in the middle is a white dwarf. Now, the neat thing is, and I have to give Cornucopia credit for this, she mentioned to me the other day, she asked me, do white dwarfs actually make diamonds in their core? Because they're mostly carbon in the core. Oxygen on the outside, carbon in the center typically. Or I'm sorry, oxygen in the interior, carbon around them. And the answer is yes, to an extent, sort of, kind of. On Earth, diamonds are carbon atoms that are arranged in a crystal lattice. And carbon atoms, all right, number 6 in the periodic table, they have 4 electrons in their outermost shell of the atom. Those 4 electrons are called valence electrons. These are available to bond, okay, with other things. And there's a rule in chemistry where an atom is very, very happy if it has 8 electrons in its outermost shell, okay? And those 8 electrons in the outermost shell are electrons that the carbon atom natively does not have. So when it bonds with another carbon atom, it bonds with all 4 of the valence electrons. Each one is shared with the other valence electron in the adjacent carbon. And so you have a very powerful bond, and it makes a lattice. And on Earth, that sharing of electrons is what causes the diamond to be so hard, because it's a very cohesive, very much the same material all throughout. Okay, now here's the thing: if we look at a white dwarf core, well, there's a lot of carbon atoms, but the thing is, the carbon atoms themselves don't exist. All that's there are the nuclei, the protons of the former carbon atom. The electrons are effectively pushed out of the atom by absorbing lots and lots of highly energetic radiation that the white dwarf gives off. So the electrons are gone. They're kind of not in the picture. But the carbon atoms are squished so tightly together that they literally reach a point where they're squished very tightly together. And then as the core of that white dwarf begins to cool just below 10 million Kelvin, you can look up the Kelvin scale if you want to see what that's like in Fahrenheit and so forth, and Celsius. When it gets to just below 10 million Kelvin, the carbon atoms can now do something interesting. They can sort of lock up with each other and crystallize. And that crystallization that occurs in the core of the white dwarf is what they're calling diamond. But you know what? It's not really diamond. I mean, I'll give you an example of why. Because you might say, oh, we're going to go harvest the white dwarf. Oh, we're going to be trillionaires, quadrillionaires. You're going to go get this stuff. You're going to pull it out. You're going to stick it in your highly compressed, container, and you're going to bring it home, and you're going to go to the earth with it. You're going to bring this thing, and you're going to bring it to a person to evaluate the quality of your white dwarf diamond. And when you open the box, the last thing you see is a blinding flash as you now release all the pressure on the carbon atoms, and they go from being crushed and locked together to being explosively released. And they'll explode with the it depends on the size. If you get a big diamond chunk that you keep in your high pressure box, or a tiny one, if you leave a tiny one, you're going to have a Hiroshima sized blast at your diamond exchange when you go to show it off. If you have a bigger one, and think you're going to really conquer the world with that diamond, well, that could be a very, very large megatonnage nuclear explosion, effectively. That's the kind of damage it would do. That's the kind of heat it would produce. That's the kind of energy it would release. So, yeah, not a good idea. So, the white dwarf is under such pressure that, you know, it can't be compressed any further, because the electrons that are trying to be crushed also are pushing back. That's called electron degeneracy pressure, right? And that's what's in the core of this star right here. This very odd, strange creature called a white dwarf. You know, we can see this pretty well here. This is actually a nice shot. Now, if we bring all the color in, okay, it kind of wipes out some of our details. So by keeping the color low, we can see the detail in here. All right, nice picture, actually. So we're going to call this the Eskimo Nebula. Wow, that's nice. That's 27 images right now, and that's with the moon, so that's pretty good. We'll save exactly a scene. That's a 15-second shot. Now we're going to do an 8-second shot. And we'll clear this. Because we really overexposed the center. So now we're going to look at just the middle. Okay? And you'll see that there's a dark area in here. And then there's another shell. And then that outer shell we were seeing before. So I'm going to take our curves, move them back here, and let's do that. So we've stacked 3, so you see how it looks kind of modeled? Just like with the Jupiter pictures, the more we stack, the less this noise will present itself, and the more data we'll get. All right, so when we take, say, 4 pictures like we have now, or had, those 4 pictures have half again as much noise as 2 pictures, rough rule of thumb. So if you see 7 photos that we've stacked, okay, like right now, we'll cut that noise in half by going to 14. So if you double the amount of photos, it brings the noise down by a certain amount. Now there's a certain point where you get less bang for the buck. Okay, but as you can see right now, we're actually getting pretty far along. I'm going to move the color up a little. And I haven't even talked about the color yet, but you notice it's a greenish blue. It's beautiful, right? And that color has to do with the third most abundant element in the entire universe, right? And that third most abundant element in the universe is, of course, oxygen. All right, hydrogen's number 1, helium's number 2, oxygen is the third most abundant, and then the fourth one, what you're made of, carbon. So carbon and oxygen have a love affair, and that love affair is not going away, and the universe has created a template for life using that fourth most abundant and third most abundant element in the universe. So we are a universe of life, right? So that's kind of how that works. I want to say hi to Steven Smet from Belgium. Mr. Django, how you doing? Nicola, how are you? Now, the question from Nicola is, what is the next step in a white dwarf? Excellent question. When you reach white dwarf status, a couple things can happen. If you're solitary like this one, your only destiny is you're going to slowly cool and become what's called a black dwarf. And that is a core of crystallized diamond-like material under immense pressure and gravity, and you're going to be forever locked in that state, and you will never ever be anything more. Now, that's if you're solitary. If you're orbiting another star, when that star becomes a red giant, there could be a problem, because you have these 2 stars orbiting each other. Here's the white dwarf, here's the bigger, red giant. As this little white dwarf is orbiting the red giant, as the red giant gets larger, it may fill a region around itself called the Roche lobe. Now, what is that? Every star has a Roche lobe. The Roche lobe is an area around the star where, when the material gets out that far, it can actually pass through to another star. It can actually be gravitationally unbound to the parent star. And that's just what happens when you sometimes have a white dwarf orbiting a giant red giant. Now, the white dwarf has a specific mass. Now, that mass is under 1.44 solar masses. Above that mass, all hell breaks loose, and I'll explain. So let's talk about how that would work. If you have a white dwarf surrounding orbiting a red giant, as the red giant grows in size, its outermost gas, which is mostly hydrogen, may go through the common point of rotation, the orbital center called the barycenter between them, and land on the surface of the white dwarf. Now, if that white dwarf is somewhat less than 1.44 solar masses, the maximum mass for a white dwarf, then some of that hydrogen gas can build up on the surface for years and then finally go off in one gigantic runaway fusion episode. Now, that happens, and basically the white dwarf is still there and the red giant is still there, and the white dwarf resets effectively and then goes back to just being this white dwarf going around a red giant. But we call that a nova. Now, T Corona Borealis is a star that actually had that problem. Every 80 years or so, it was a white dwarf that was less than 1.44 solar masses, and the hydrogen gas would get on the surface and eventually go into spontaneous fusion, and all over the star, the whole layer of hydrogen gas would fuse, and this would end up forming helium. Now, the trouble is that runaway fusion, once that happens, the star basically is reset. All right. Now, another 80 years later, it'll happen again. But that can't happen forever. So when the star is, say, at 1.44 solar masses, right at the very upper limit, and it has a red giant that it's orbiting, that gas passes through and starts to land on the white dwarf. And the white dwarf, the reason the 1.44 solar masses, known as the Chandrasekhar limit, actually came to be, is because any more mass than that, and the white dwarf will want to continue to collapse. Why? Because you may remember it's the electrons in the white dwarf separated from the nuclei that are pushing back and holding it up. All right? And that's called electron degeneracy pressure. And the pressure of them pushing back holds it up. But if you add more mass, they can't withstand more than 1.44 solar masses. And so any more than that, and they will want to collapse. Now, the other thing that happens is, and we need to look up whether a white dwarf has spontaneously collapsed into a neutron star. I thought I saw research on this, but I do know, I'm going to just clear this and start again, because I think we're gonna have to do this again, I think. Yeah, so if you go beyond, so if you have a white dwarf and a red giant and you go beyond the 1.44 solar masses, what can happen is the white dwarf cannot handle that additional mass, and it wants to collapse further, but it can't. And so what happens is it'll explode, and we get what's called a type 1A, Roman numeral 1, which is the letter I, capital I, and a little a, 1A supernova. And these are very characteristic. We know what they do. We know what they look like. I'm just going to come back in here in just a sec. And so the type 1A supernova is the thing that would actually be the thing that you would get from this. And that problem is one that would be very, well, I should say, dangerous to the whole system, because maybe that red giant could get destroyed as well. So that's potentially a problem. I'm waiting to get back in, just so you know. There we go. All right, there we are. Okay, so that's the white dwarf that's in here. I'm gonna clear this one more time, and we're gonna do this here. So this is a shell right here. That's not the white dwarf. That's actually a shell around the white dwarf. All right, we can't really see. I can't really see that right here. All right, and we're gonna try this. Try and back this out. So those are white dwarfs, okay, and white dwarfs are about the size of the Earth, which is pretty cool. So Nicola, when you ask what's the next step in a white dwarf, well, that's pretty much it. Yeah. And then Curtis Horn says Chandrasekhar was my PhD advisor. Haha, okay. Very cool. I never got to meet Chandrasekhar. I would have loved that. Cornucopia says, wow, sounds like an absolute nightmare what's going on inside a white dwarf in such a... Yes, it is, in fact, what you might call a very, very dangerous place to be inside of an area around the white dwarf. The white dwarf gives off most of its energy in the ultraviolet, and it would basically fry you before you got to it. A neutron star even more so. Neutron stars, whereas a white dwarf is the size of the Earth, a teaspoonful of white dwarf material would weigh about as much as a car. Okay, say a couple tons. That's a teaspoon. That's a lot of weight in a small little area. A neutron star, on the other hand, which is the size of Manhattan Island, and is usually from bigger stars, that is something else. A neutron star, a teaspoonful of neutron star, would weigh several billion tons on our planet, and that's no exaggeration, no fabrication. We're talking about a very, very large weight difference, you know, between a neutron star teaspoon and a white dwarf teaspoon. But there it is. That's the Eskimo. I will save it, and then I will save it exactly as we saw it. So you get the... Oh, and then I want to do what I normally do. I want to identify it for you. So I want to do that. Okay. Get our ID straightened out. Yeah, there we go. And I'll save that with annotations. So that's saved out there too. Okay. Alright, so that was kind of cool. Hey, Immortal Sergeant, brother, what's happening, man? So good to see you. Thank you so much for doing that. That's wonderful. Fred Foambone's with us. How you doing, Fred? Good to see you, brother. Yeah, man. Sam S is with us. How you doing, buddy? Oh, yeah. So Tuesday I leave for Arizona again, and I drive out to California with our Sky Tour team, and I got to do 3 lectures and a Sky Watch. That's like dinner and a movie. 3 lectures and a Sky Watch. And so I will be out there for that period of time, and then I'm going to be I'll be back, I think, on the 3rd or the 4th. I have to check. Either way, we're going right down to Benson to install the wide field system in building number 2 here. Okay, in Benson. So no longer will our maintenance issue be going from this observatory over well, actually 225 miles to the northwest to do the maintenance on the Sonoran Observatory. We're going to be just walking about 65, 75 feet down the observatory row here to our next building. So that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I have to say, I got to thank our people that have helped donate to us and stuff, because you're making that possible. And then Nicola says, is that where the fast, I mean a fast radio burst, I think you're talking about, fast regular burst, you call it, fast radio burst, FRBs, come from neutron stars. You're kind of correct. They actually come from a type of neutron star that was born from a very rapidly rotating parent star. That rapidly rotating star is called the neutron star is called a magnetar, where the magnetic field has been multiplied. In the same way, think of it this way: an ice skater spinning in the ice with the arms out. Okay, they spin slowly as they pull their arms in. They go faster and faster and faster. In physics, we call that conservation of angular momentum. But as the radius changes, the spin rate has to increase to compensate. And but when you look at a star, as the star collapses, it starts to spin faster and faster. But what if it's already spinning faster and faster? Or, in other words, what if it's already spinning very fast? And as it collapses, it starts to spin exceedingly fast. What ends up happening is the magnetic field lines get wrapped around the star and dragged out. Think of them as threads out of the North Pole, making an arc down into the South Pole. If the star is spinning rapidly, the ones around the pole, which are going a little bit, faster than the ones around the poles, are going to end up getting swept out and sweep out the range all around them, while the ones up above are going to slow down. So you're going to get a shape on the side of the star like this, where one of the lines gets dragged out, and they can drag all the way around the star. And that problem is one that causes very strange things to happen in a neutron star that's fast rotating, and that's leads to what we think might be causing what we call the magnetars, And so I think that was interesting, So that's the whole thing about the magnetar. Now, if you haven't seen it, I did a short on magnetars. It's available on our SkyTour livestream TikTok, and it's I don't know if it's on I don't think it's on our shorts on our YouTube channel yet, but I explained the magnetars, and basically they're just incredible. I just did one on Wolf-Rayet stars too, by the way, which are cosmic time bombs, and that one is scheduled to be released. I don't know if Thorngood Studios is still here. She can tell you, because she's the one that's orchestrating the release of it. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Curtis. She said, yeah, you didn't get to meet him either. He was Professor Winston's advisor. Okay, gotcha. Awesome, brother. That's really cool. Yeah, you know what? It's funny, Curtis. I actually, and this may mean something to some of you. I was actually, one of my professors I had was Bart J. Bach. And I think that's pretty cool, because Bart J. Bach is the guy that discovered the Bach globules, which are where we think life may originate in the universe ultimately. So that's pretty cool. And he was a cool guy. Older guy, but you know what? He was still like a hippie. He's still like a young hippie, long hair, kind of like, hey, man. He was just the coolest guy. Again, Immortal, thank you for that donation. It's very kind. Very, very kind. All right, let's go now and see what else we can do here. We're just going to take our way out of here. By the way, this is kind of low. The Eskimo was kind of low. Now, here's another low one, but this is Measure 44. This is the Beehive cluster And the Beehive is an interesting location because this is a cluster of stars that I think was everyone's favorite at one point or another. All right, let's do this, and let's get us down to. Let's do that. Go fit the height. Yeah, the Beehive cluster. This is one of the most amazing places to look. It's got a lot of different stars in it, and what happens is, it's a young cluster, but you got to remember all stars are born in a stellar nursery of sorts, and as they're young, they have these copious stellar winds, and so they can push the gas away. So any nebula that was surrounding these at one point is now long since dispersed to the universe. You know, and it takes a few million years for that to occur. And that's what we see here. All right. This is just a small piece of the cluster. Let me show you what it really looks like. Okay, if we look here, center up, and we zoom in, you can see the cluster. We're looking at just the central part. See that? But it's actually a bigger cluster of stars. You know, and we'll just we'll let it identify it. We'll tell it to identify. Yeah, it labels the stars, so you know what they are. And that little fuzzy spot that you may have seen, that is that galaxy. Okay, that's pretty cool. Yep. So that's neat. Okay, so we'll save that with annotations. Actually, I shouldn't have. Now it's going in the wrong place. I meant to just set the target name, and then I'm going to do this. Set the target name. Okay. And now I'll save it with annotations. And maybe it'll complain. And if it does, that's fine. Alright, good. Alright. Now let's just do a quick live stack here. We'll get out of this. And we're going to just... 8 seconds is actually good. And let's color correct and do this. So that's just a number of these stars. Now what's interesting is these stars they're hot and they're young, and so they don't have much of a chance of supporting any planets right now. They're still, you got too powerful of stellar winds, but in time they could. Fantasy says, I love the Beehive. It is pretty. And in the constellation the Canis Major is the little Beehive, Messier 41, and that's really pretty. Yeah. Alright, so we got 6 here. Now, when our wide field system's installed in a couple weeks, we'll take an image. We'll have both telescopes open, and this one will take an image like this, and then the wide field system will show the entire cluster. It's good for wide field stuff. This telescope is good for narrow shots looking at things up close, like galaxies and so forth. The wide field system is good at seeing many clusters of galaxies all at once. So we're going to have two things, kill two birds with one stone. Then attached to this telescope is going to be our spectrograph system, so we can actually look at things like a supernova and see all of the elements that are created in a supernova. So you'll see, wow, this is potassium, this is calcium, created in a supernova, and you'll see the chemical signatures, and that leads to real science, which is what we do in a way. So very cool. All right, so we will save this here. Save exactly a scene. And so that's our quickie shot at Persepi, the Beehive. And now let's we'll go back to our low light mode. And we're only at 150 gain, so we're actually at a lower gain, which is what I want for tonight. With the moon out, higher gain is generally not very effective. So let's go back to the moon and see what's happening. It may have changed for all we know. Let's go see, shall we? Ah! Yeah, no kidding, huh? There we are. Look at that. All right, so now we're going to move it over. And bring it down to our view. And then adjust it. I'm hearing wind out there. You can't hear that, but the microphone out there is picking up wind. We're good. All right, so we're going to take down the 1 second shot. We're going to go to 75 milliseconds. Yeah, okay, that was close. Need to go a little less by a tiny bit. There we go. Oops, go back. You had it right the first time. Oh, look at that. That's really pretty. Yeah, nice and sharp tonight. The sky is very nice out there. Really pretty. The bouncing you're seeing is due to the atmosphere and the turbulence in the atmosphere. But we have some pretty good detail in here, I have to say. That's not bad. You can see the wavy heat waves rising here. Causing the heating to cause the wavy nature. That's the air cells, the heated air cells between us and the moon. Of course, they're all in our atmosphere. Yeah, look at that. That's cool. I'm going to bring something up with you that you may or may not have thought of. You know, when we talk about going to the moon, right? When you talk about going to the moon, we need to be able to set up a place that's free from radiation. Yes, so we're thinking, okay, under the surface of the moon in a lava tube or something. Yeah. But we also have something else we need at the same time. We need to heat and keep the astronauts warm and the colonists if they're going to be there. But we also need to have power. We can't use solar panels, can we? Because solar panels are going to fail halfway, half of the moon cycle is going to be in the dark. So how in the world do we do that? Well, obviously it's going to have to be some form of nuclear reactor. Okay? So I would think that maybe we have to actually create some type of actual fusion reactor that would be able to power moon base, right? Let's see if we can get a good stack on this. That's actually a little too much. That's a little better. That's good. Look at that. Whoops. Okay, we had a little... Okay, you can already start to see, if you notice, you can start to see that the colors are sort of different here, aren't they? This is real. This is not, fake. You can start to see that the colors are different. Okay, this color is different from this color. Now, you can see a very distinct line here where this lava field is a different color than this lava field. And then you can see here that this lava field is a different color than this lava field. Okay? Now, that's sort of gray, okay, and gray, but this one is not. This one almost looks greenish, okay, in here. And that's the thing that the moon will showcase, is a difference in the colors. Now, I'm going to just come out and go live here. So that's pretty cool when you look at this. And then if we come up here, okay, and make our way over to the Terminator again. All right, let's see where that puts us. Yeah, so now you can see that here we have the same issue. So if you can hear the wind, but you can see how you can see how the color in here is slightly different than the color outside here. See that? Okay, let's actually try to stack that. Yeah, it was too much for it. Problem was we need it has to be more still, because even though it can maneuver to try and get a better view, we have to let it do that. Like right there, it caught it. It did it good. Did a good job. All right, so now we can save that and save that. Although I messed it up, I didn't change the name to the moon again. My mistake. Now it's going to complain. I will clear it, reset the stack. Let's try again. Okay. Yeah, we got some wind that you can see. Now you see moments of lucky seeing. You can see how it gets sharper at times and then it doesn't. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for those lucky seeing moments. Okay, so let's save that. Save that. All right. Nicola says, Mark, how long do you think we could really land a man on Mars? How long until we could really land a man on Mars? Person? To be honest, if Elon Musk has his way, he's going to push for a Mars mission, but he's in recent months he's backed off of that approach because of Starship failures, basically. For all its failures, it's actually just an amazing system. But he backed off on going to Mars at the moment because he recognized that the moon has a lot of minerals that are valuable too. So we could get to Mars, but it'll be kind of a awkward problem. Because getting down to the surface is not like getting down to the surface on the moon. Either way, it's impossibly hard to land on the surface of a planet. Ask Russia how many successful landings on Mars they've had. Try 0, okay, with a number of attempts. So they've tried and failed. We tried it, and almost every one of the ones we've been involved with have succeeded. The polar lander didn't work. And I remember I think it was Beagle that didn't. It deployed its arrays, but couldn't communicate with them, so it couldn't get power. Something broke on the way, which is probably a hard landing or something. So I'm not sure. But I think, and as I think, Fantasy says, we could probably land now with today's technology. Probably true. Well, let's see if we can see this here. I'm going to drop us down for just a minute and take us just a little bit toward the dark side. Well, okay, that'll work too. Let me reduce the exposure. Okay. Now I zoom in, we're going to look right at the edge. See how it looks like it's uneven? You're looking at the lunar mountains at the edge of the moon. Yeah. So when we cross in front of a star, what you'll see is that the star will sometimes wink out, come back in, wink out, and it's because it's going behind mountains as seen from the Earth. Remember, a star is only ever a point of light. It's only a big dot in our sky because it bloats to our eye because of our atmosphere, but it's actually just a point of light. So it's a tiny point of light going behind a lunar mountain, and the slightest obstruction will completely blot it out. So that's what we see sometimes. Let's see if we can sharpen this image. Oh yeah, look at that. That's pretty cool. You can actually see now, you can see the mountains on the horizon very well here. See them right there? You can see the lunar horizon mountains. Neato. I never did that before with this. That's pretty cool. Try again. That's neat. Alright, so let's go. I want to go the other way actually. I want to come over here, so we're heading into the darkness. Okay. Now we're going to let that lock up and get good. You can see the waves of the atmosphere starting to interfere with the image. Let's see if we can get the lunar mountains here as well. Sure, look at that. Okay, we'll save those. Nice. So you can see the lunar mountains at the edge. So a star would go right behind those sometimes and you wouldn't even see it. It would just disappear because, like I said, it's only ever a point of light. Pretty cool, huh? So remember what we talked about tonight with the that beautiful site I told you about. Again, I put the link in the chat, and you can go see the Dial a Moon and check it out. All right, okay. Let's see if we can check out anything else before we go. Now it's time to say goodbye to all our family. MICKEYMOUSE. I'll show you what's coming. Okay, down here, you'll see this right here. That is Omega Centauri. That is the largest globular cluster in the sky. It is less than 10 degrees above the horizon, but it's almost as high as it gets. And if I try to look at it, it's just out of our view. We can't quite get below 10 degrees because when we're looking in that direction, we're looking toward this garage door opener system. So we don't get a perfect view, but we could try. What the heck? We'll do that one time. It's always scary trying to go to that. But we're kind of almost already near it, so you'll watch it. It's going to go right down to the, right there. Look at that. You see how it's literally looking almost at the wall? Well, let's go see if we even have any stars at all. Just barely. So we're cutting off most of the aperture here. And we're probably getting the equivalent of a 1/2-inch aperture. Maybe a 1-inch round telescope. Let me try this though. Let's try doing a 1-second low light shot here. Yeah. You can see the stars are all like elongated, but they're not moving. That's because we're looking at interference from the wall doing this to us. Yeah, Omega Centauri does come up a little bit higher, but not much. And unfortunately, I did design the pier to be the height so we could see Omega Centauri, but practical concerns eliminated it, like the opener system being in the way, which was too bad, unfortunately. But that's a Centaurus, the constellation Centaurus. So we take away the ground, you can see it there, and if we do Centaurus, you can see the centaur. Okay, with our mythology, and showing up, coming up, I should say, is Scorpius, the scorpion, right there. Right, so that'll be up high in the sky here, but it's not right now. We're going to wait. That's the summertime. But up in the northeast right now, we do have a few things going on up here. We have the star Vega is 26 degrees above the horizon right now. The Ring Nebula is going to be about 18. That won't be a whole lot. But it's getting there. And we'll wait for that to rise and become better for us to see. Not bad. I tell you, it's great. It's a really good night for just looking at star clusters and things. What I will say, however, is we could check out the great star cluster Hercules. Why not? You can see the telescope moving. Getting a couple 100 pounds of telescope moving around is no mean feat, let me tell you. It's got to spin around to the east, and we're looking to the west with this view here. So it's gonna be telescope's gonna be facing us here in a minute. Flipping over. Yeah, and then look up in the sky. Here it comes. Boop. There we are. And now, did we even come close? Sometimes when it flips over the mount like that, it doesn't come close. So let's do a 5-second shot and see how far off we are. Okay. All right, so let's go find it. We found it. And it'll be right there in a couple seconds here. There it is. Ba-boom. All right. Okay, so that is a globular cluster, the Great Cluster in Hercules. Okay, it'll settle down here in just a minute. There we go. Beautiful. All right, now what we'll do is we will take a... you don't have to do much with this, like 15 seconds. Okay, but we're going to grab a guide star while we're here. Good, we're all good. Grab me a guide star. Yeah, why'd you stop? That's a good guide star. All right. Nice and solid. Good peak. Little variation higher in the sky. So look at all those stars. And a 15-second photo is all we need for this, because this is not a dim object. And if we do more than 15 seconds, it'll make the core of it really, really overexposed. Look at that. We can actually increase our color again. You can see the blue nature of these stars are actually more yellowy, actually. Let's see if we can... Look at that. What a beautiful star cluster. That's absolutely just beautiful. So the telescope knows where it is. It's at M13, so we're going to actually set that as our target name. Save it with annotations anyway, so that goes to be the first thing in the directory. We have 3 exposures taken. This we only need to go to about 6, you know, as opposed to 15 or 20. What a beautiful, beautiful location. Not bad with the moon out too. So if we push this, you can see how that color, that background color, is sort of induced by the moon as well. And we could probably get rid of that to some extent. Yeah, let me, yeah. Really cool, look at that. Alright, there's 6 right there. And let's do that. Look at that. Alright, so tonight, on our stream tonight, you learned about the Dial-A-Moon application. The link is again in the chat. And for those that missed it, there it is again. And this will allow you to see the moon as it is right now. It's one of those incredible objects that allow you to, or sites rather, that allow you to see the moon as it is right now. And if you hit download, then you get a gorgeous file that actually has the amazingly beautiful craters and everything at the Terminator all outlined for you. And these are, let's do this. Yeah. So again, this is what you get. Okay. It's just a beautiful, beautiful display of the moon. And it's actually quite detailed. You know, quite detailed. Yeah, this is the ones that are coming. These are the ones that are there now. Okay, oops, sorry about that. And the ones that were there are over here. Let me show you that. Or over here, like they're in the lighter. So this is where we were, this is where we are, and this is where we're going. So you have sort of like a three of them. All right, and that's neat. So that's the location. That's the link I put into the chat. Okay, and that allows you to go check out the moon and see it for what it is. All right, and again, it's called Dial-A-Moon or Moon Phase and Libration. And the 2021 is sort of when it started. All right, and so this is now today's date. Okay, very good, very, very good. All right, so let's go back one more time. Let's look at our beautiful. Look at that. You want to see it, I suppose. Sure you do. All right, there we go. The beautiful cluster in Hercules, the great cluster. 18 images here. Nice, beautiful, solid stars. Noise has been reduced by taking exposures. And we'll just save this here. Save exactly as seen. Again, if you want it, you go to skytourlive.org, scroll down where it says, I want cool pictures, and then read the instructions, and you go there, find the date, today's date, and this picture is yours to take. Right, and this is what you get. This is what's out there right now. It's already gone up on our server. Right, so you can download it and enjoy it. And you might say, well, Mark, what am I supposed to do with all these pictures? Enjoy them. Just enjoy them. I did them for you. All right, guys. Well, this is cool. Well, it is 12:30 in the morning here. I'm going to go to bed. I am glad that you guys were able to join me tonight. Thank you so much for coming along. I want to look at a couple other things here too to make sure I didn't miss too many questions. By the way, when you ask questions of me in my streams, it's okay if you're in all caps. I don't say you're yelling at me. That's how you get my attention. So Nicola asks, how many stars do you think there are in the cluster, like this cluster here? Well, there could be anywhere up to 1,000,000 in this cluster, from several 100,000 to 1,000,000 stars. And that is a lot of stars. Now the question is, where do these clusters come from? These are halo objects. They are orbiting the galaxy kind of like on their own orbit. So are they former galaxies that have been stripped of their spiral arms and other stars? That's one of the possibilities. I don't buy that one. I think it's a different mechanism altogether. Now, it's possible there are not supermassive black holes, but massive black holes in these clusters. And that is why they are held together. And that's being held together because of the gravity of a central black hole. That's kind of the later idea. Either way, that's kind of cool. Okay, 28 and done. All right, guys. Well, I want to thank you for coming out tonight. This was really good. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing this with you. Remember, you'll look for our Sky Tour live stream on TikTok. Look for Thorngood Studios on TikTok. And look for, of course, our YouTube channel. We're on Twitch, Trovo, Rumble, Kick, Facebook. Join our Facebook group, which is free. Hang out with us on the Sky Tour live stream Facebook group on and you can ask me questions there, and so forth, and I will be more than happy to answer them. In any case, guys, you guys have a really good evening. I'm kind of just beat, and I got a long weekend, coming up. I leave Tuesday for Arizona. Maybe we'll squeeze in a bonus stream between now and then. But I will talk to you soon. So thank you guys. And remember, whenever you go out, keep looking up, except while you're driving. I borrowed that from Amanda. She was our first co-host here. So have a good night, guys. See you later.
Stars so bright in the sky, on Arizona nights they fly. Nebulae in colors rare, galaxies beyond compare. Sky tour in the night so clear, brings the universe near. Real-time wonders to see, streaming live for you and me. Lift your eyes to the skies, universe in all its light. Sky tours bringing the views. Every night feels brand new. In the dark, the night unfolds, stories of the cosmos told. Through the lens, a distant dream, living real like a gleam. Far away, up so high, across the stars beyond the skull. Through the lens, a distant dream, living real like a gleam. Lift your eye up so high, across the stars beyond the sky. Sky tour shows us the way, every night a new display. Lift your eyes to the skies, universe in all its light. Sky tours bringing the views.
Lift your eyes to the skies, universe in all its light. Sky tours bringing the views. Every night feels brand